Iveragh Eco Forest is its name. The purpose, I guess, is rooted in my concerns for the future in many different aspects in relation to, I guess, climate change, um, plus my interest in how the land once was and the way it should be returned. I feel to be a lot healthier. It should be, say, about 200, 300 years ago, all of this area would have been forest. Um, there is very little social record or social evidence about it. It's sort of pre-famine times. Um, we we only have very limited sort of records of the everyday life of people and the everyday working of farms going back that length of time, especially in these poorer land areas. There wasn't much interest, but the only evidence is there is that it would be all forested, and then it seemed to be coinciding sort of with the Industrial Revolution and lots of different things. Sort of around the Killarney area, there would have been huge oak trees, which were all cut down to make oak barns. There was a huge barn making industry there. So those sort of things, with the sort of beginning of industrialisation, seems to have wiped out without any trace of it ever existing. The forestry here, So even though I wasn't born in Kerry, my family is from Kerry. It's from the Dingle Peninsula, and I would have grown up there. I would have spent all my summers there and that. So that's my connection to Kerry. The so the one aspect of my interest in the forestry is this sort of concept that this land should be naturally forested. The thing is, that is the past. Then looking to the future, you have the predicted probably within the next 50 years, and there is, I think, greater and greater sort of statistical probability of it happening is when the North Atlantic current system stops running. At the moment, that current system brings warm sea to Ireland. I mean, sorry, latitude-wise. We are in the same sort of, if you built a line straight across the globe, you would hit Hudson Bay, Canada, which is sort of frozen for a couple of months every year. And once the North Atlantic drift stops, we could be catapulted pretty much in a very short period of time into very, very cold weather that we haven't had here for about 10,000 years, the last ice age. Right, so along with my son, we put our life savings together, and this land actually came up. Well, to be honest with you, the same plot of land coincidentally came up about 20 years ago, and I had gone to look at it and hoped to buy it, but at the time I didn't have the funds. This time around, between myself and my son, we had the savings and we went looking for land, and the first piece to pop up was this little 18.5 acres out in Coomastow, in the Drummond-Killeen area. So we put in an offer, it was accepted, and that went through April, May of this year. So we have been landowners since sort of April, May. I'm sort of building up a network of places, people, as well as information, government sites that provide information. But so I guess I would have started during COVID researching all of this, and I was looking for eco farms to go and visit, but I couldn't at the time find any in Ireland, and I found some in England, Wales, Scotland. So I took a year's career break last year and took my little caravan and toured around Scotland, England, Wales for about 3 months. I included visiting family as well, so that, you know. But so I guess the places that I visited were my first source of real information to actually see it practically working, and then to give me direction and guidance as to what people online to go and look further into, because the problem is when you go online into Google, there is so much information and you just don't know where to turn and which is right and that sort of thing. But by seeing the actual practical application and getting some names from people, then it gave me an awful lot of more information and direction and guidance to look further into other people. And there's a guy in the south of England in Devon called Martin Crawford, who has written a book on food forestry, and I've been sort of reading into that, and then whatever references that come up there, it sort of guided me onto other people. I mean, he was influenced by another forest gardener who started in England, I think during the 60s, 70s, in the middle of England. I can't remember his name. Who successfully did, forest gardening. I think Martin Crawford has sort of refined then all of that, and produced research papers on it and that. So, yeah, that's sort of where. And then when I came back to Ireland, I actually found, in the meantime, that there was quite a number of eco farms and eco villages and communities after starting up. So I followed them on Facebook, but I've gone to visit one place up in, I think, Laois Offaly. It's Cool Eco Farm, COLLE. It's COLLE, I think. So they have they're doing some interesting work there, and most of these eco farms villages sort of open up to anybody who's interested, and they do provide courses, and they actually provide them at a very reasonable price. So they're really doing their best to sort of spread the word, the information, and how they find what works, what's successful for them, and they do through weekend workshops and that, and online as well. Well, the land is 18.5 acres. It's got 2 lovely mountain streams that come together. They're coming down the mountain. My land is slightly sloped. It's at the foot of the mountain. These 2 streams come in on either side of the boundaries and then come together in the middle and flow down to the end, forming a nice Y shape. And that was important to me, because I think if a source of water is always important. So if you're keeping animals and that. This is from my own perspective now. Experts might have a different point of view, but this provides good drainage also for the land. I would say the lower half of the land would be described as bog, and bog is anything that is a metre of turf or deeper. I'm sure, is turf a terminology that people would
Or-
understand
or
outside of
peat.
it. Peat. Yeah, so if it's a metre or deeper, then it's a bog. The top half is, it would be a heavy soil, but it's not peat, it's actual soil. So uh, that sort of creates the, you know, I haven't yet uh, sort of formalized, or formalized isn't the exact word. I haven't yet set plans for the bottom half, for the bog, because I need to research it more environmentally. I mean, in the past in Ireland, bog like that, they would have planted sort of the logpole pine type of forestry, which is sort of monoculture, or heavy, that just very acidic and destroys the land, makes it too acidic and destroys makes the rivers acidic as well, destroying all life in them. In recent times, they've realised that that's a very bad way to work bog. At the moment, sort of government agricultural departments sort of advice is to leave bog as is. That it already has carbon dioxide sequestered into it, and if you go digging it or planting stuff in it, you're releasing the carbon dioxide. But I'm sort of meeting with other people locally out in Drummond, and there is a possibility of another alternative, which would be planting things like blueberry, aronia berry, that grow very well in the bog, but they would fit into the natural balance of the soil. As far as I understand, as I say, I don't know enough yet, but that's what I'm looking into. And from my point of view, it wouldn't be a sort of cash crop, and it wouldn't be done intensely. I think if it was done intensely, it probably wouldn't be good for the ecology of the bog. I want to keep the bog. The bog, interestingly, I was very surprised. We were walking there over the summer, and my son saw a couple of lizards walking. I never knew we had lizards in our bogs here. So I don't want to destroy that. So whatever I will do with the bog will be gentle in relation to what it is now. Yeah, the upper half would have been. I mean, it would have been farmed. It is sort of set out in ancient fields, but they haven't. They would have been sort of the field structure hasn't really been in use for, I'd say, about many years. It could be 50, 100 years, I don't know, but there is a sort of old field structure there, but it's all sort of covered over and knocked down. It would have, in recent times, it would have been used for cattle grazing, but the cows, it would be sort of beef cattle. They're too heavy for the land, and they've destroyed it. I think it's probably more suitable for lighter animals like sheep or goats. In relation to that piece of land, it's sort of interesting. One of my neighbours was passing by one day. I mean, and he sort of, the way they sort of stopped to chat, and he said, "When I was a young fella, there was the old farmer who had that land. I used to go in and help him, and he said that land is far better than it actually looks, because if you go out there now at the moment, it's completely wild. But so that's given me some hope that we can grow stuff there. That once upon a time was, was farming land. At the moment, it's completely overgrown, and you couldn't see much use for it. So I think locally people will be looking and thinking that she's a little bit crazy buying that land. But I think we can, you know, with forestry we can balance it out a bit. No, no, I was a city person. Like, I can't say there is a turf ridge on the bottom half of our land. So somebody at one stage did cut turf there. You know, it's very clear. You can see where people have cut turf because you get, you know, a big step of about a metre high between the land and what the cut turf. Would have been harvested for turf, I would say some years ago, for the farm that, and we would be, the way farm structures are here is a farm, you get, if you look at the way the farms are and the walls of farms, a farm is a slice of land from the mountain down to the sea. So the farm, you get the top of the mountain where they have grazing for sheep during the summer. The middle land is proper grazing, maybe crop growing. And then the lower land is going to be wetter. It'll be the turf, where in the past they would have lit their fires, and then they would have access to fishing in the sea. So most farms in the past here would have had a very a very diverse sort of subsistence living. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The turf only became in use once all the trees were gone. So they haven't been cutting turf here forever. You know, they would have, when there was trees, they would have been using trees a couple of 100 years ago. I would hope to contribute by maintaining the bog itself, by planting it in a sustainable way, not intensely, just for my own basic use really and family use, which would be blueberries, aronia berries, which are not native to here, but apparently they grow very well in a bog. But mostly plan to keep it as it is. I would be planning to plant some trees into the bog as well. Not intensely as in a forest. I might have, in the size of this room, let's say a 4 metre by 4 metre, maybe, or 8 metre by 8 metre, have one tree growing such as what would have been growing naturally in the bog. Anyway, alder, willow, goat willow, and birch. So I would plant trees. I think if you overplanted trees, you will start destroying the bog. This is my inexpert opinion. But if you do plant too intensely, you will break up the bog and it will disintegrate. Whereas if you plant it in a way that it's that there is trees very well spread out, I think you can only enhance the bog and enhance the life there. Now, as I say, I still have a lot to learn about bogs, but that is my understanding at the moment. This is generally for South Kerry. I think most people have let go of turf. There's only small number of sort of rural elder people who hold on to it as a tradition. So because it's very labour intensive to go gather the turf, there are easier ways to and probably, you know, more efficient ways to heat your house. So people are slowly changing with generations and letting go of the turf. And to be honest with you, it's not necessarily the turf. It is, I mean, I think we've all grown up. I have from a child with a fireplace and a fire, and I still have I have a stove burner, and I use sort of smokeless fuel. But in the winter time, to me, the most comforting thing about winter is sitting around the fire and it just has a connection right past to our ancestors in the Stone Age, and um, sort of, I will, so long as I can, continue lighting a fire. Um, maybe it's not environmentally friendly. I don't know, but I think I try and do it as efficiently as possible. I get my whole house and water heated off it. But yeah, I don't use turf. But I would be hoping that when I grow trees that I will be able to use the trees as firewood. I've researched all of the native trees. I guess I have been, since I've been here, I have, uh, I've spent, I took a year off work in about 2005 and did an outdoor course. So we spent the whole year walking in the mountains. This is full time, from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, winter and summer, in the dark, up all the mountains. All the mountains locally, I know, and all of the rivers. We were kayaking them, so I'm very familiar. At that time, I did a big focus on the flora and fauna of the local area and what is native, and that. So I would know a good bit about what is native to here. I think sort of within that sort of local genetic material of trees and that sort of thing, they have been living here since the last ice age, which is about 9,000 years ago. They've arrived here. So they have adapted to here over 9,000 years, and over that 9,000 years the weather will have fluctuated and there will have been periods of very cold weather. So I think for me it's important first to get local seed, which I've started doing and growing and trying to grow. And then including into that, I want to include varieties that will give sort of like a food crop, which would be hazelnuts, the cob style hazelnuts from the UK, but I've been told they don't do great here. I really won't know until I start growing stuff, because most of the forest gardens are in the south of England, which is a totally different climate and soil type to here. So at this stage, finding out what will grow here, what won't grow here, and what would be good into the future. The best I can come up with for the moment is planting a huge variety of different types of trees, local seed, and that I'll grow myself, and then through very good garden centres like the Future Forests in Bantry, that provide a very reputable and reliable plant that I think that they grow here rather than import. Problem with importing trees is that's how we got the ash dieback. So we just have to be very careful about importing trees. What else I would grow? I don't, I'm at the stage of the research as to what will be into the future. I would be putting in a variety of apple trees, and I grow a pear tree in my garden, and it gives me the most amazing crop, which is, I've not heard anybody else growing pear trees down here, but I think going by the crop that I get from my little small pear tree, that I would put in pear trees. There are apples, pears. There's things like buck. It's not buckwheat. It's a sort of a, oh God, I can't. You know, a sort of tree that produces a little seed that sort of grows well here. Buckthorn. I would try. You know, I'm going to put in, just out of curiosity, a fig tree or two. I know they need a very sheltered, warm. I some maybe a walnut or two trees, walnut trees. Monterey pine is another one. Well, my dream is to have 18 acres of land that is natural to itself, that is holistically balanced, in that the trees are working together. And once you get a forest established, then the ground sort of establishes and you get fungi and all of that growing. And so I guess I imagine a Garden of Eden, really. So, and you know, if I can keep that as my dream and just keep working on it, I think that's it. So you've got trees, fruit trees, happy animals wandering through, happy people wandering through.
A high functioning ecosystem.
Well, hopefully, and one that people can come to as well and visit and walk around and maybe see and learn, but just be present and come and meditate in that sort of beautiful, quiet area. So hopefully the land will have a healing on itself, and hopefully it'll have a healing on the people that come to visit.